with AGI and AI in the news, I thought it'd be really important to ask a question that I keep getting asked. Will the singularity happen? Where are we on AI reaching sentience? When will Skynet fall upon humanity? Let's get to those answers and more. And we're actually going to go to Thomas Aquinas, Sam Harris. We're going to go to Michael Shermer, John Lennox, and we're actually also going to go to Cyril to go through our understanding of what AI is, what it is not, and more importantly, why AI is hyper relevant. If you are a Christian and you believe that there is a future tribulation coming, I think it is an interesting time to be living in. There's an old Chinese curse, actually. May you live in interesting times. I believe we are. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the Operation Paul Bunyan. We're going to get into some apologetics with Charlie and song review, and we're going to get into the epilogue on the Screw Tape Letters all today here on Further Every Day. Welcome, Jonathan Fiala for Further Every Day here. To my right, I got Miss Nikki. How's it going?
It's a good day.
It is a good day. Glad to be here. Glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
And then to my left, I've got Charlie.
I'll be here.
How's it going?
It's going great. And we should take this opportunity to remind all of our viewers and listeners, we have just a little more than 5 months to Christmas. Get your Christmas shopping done.
That felt
Merry
really,
Christmas.
What?
Okay.
You broke my brain.
Somebody slap him.
So Steve is
Yep,
not
go
here.
ahead.
Steve is not here. So Charlie's going to try
We've
to
got
fill
it
in.
covered for you, Steve. We've got it covered for you. We are going to be politically incorrect as well to honor Steve. Make sure that we
Wait. I'm blowing kisses. Okay, now we're going to go over to Mr. Producer. How's it going?
Well, I was going to say I was glad I could be here today, but
I don't know what's happening. So for those of you who are on audio, Steve is not available today. He is taking a day of leave. So we miss him and we look forward to having you back here, sir. We
That's
appreciate
without
your
pay,
presence.
though, Steve. Remember, without pay.
Well, it's only half pay. It's only half pay. So
half of zero
half of
is
zero.
zero.
People are like, oh, you guys are hired. And one person said paid shills for Israel. I'm like, how are we paid shills for Israel?
I don't think so.
For one thing, we're not paid.
I was going to say, nobody's putting Hershey Kisses in my
stockings. And then two, I think we've been actually somewhat critical of Israel. So we would be very bad shills. Anyway, so with that said, AI, I think one of the most important issues of today is the new, I would say, fourth industrial revolution that we are living through right now and what it portends for Christian ethics, for workplace ethics, for the ethics of art, and for the ethics of business. This is something that everyone is thinking about right now as companies are spending billions and billions every year on AI. And so we as Christians should have, and conservatives, we should have well-formed opinions on this. So the one thing that I always get asked is, will AI ever become sentient? Thoughts?
No.
Will AI ever become sentient? I have a no. I have a maybe. What do you think, Mr. Producer? No. And I'm going to make an argument that ontologically, so that's a fancy word for the nature, if you're looking at the study of what is in essence and being, ontologically, AI can never be conscious. It can replicate it. It can duplicate it. In fact, it can do such a good job that it is no longer distinguishable from.
The only thing that gives me pause on it is when you think back to the Tower of Babel, God took action because, and this is where I kind of lose my grip, my ground. Was it because man was getting to that point of knowledge? Was it?
Well, I think what they were really looking at doing with that was they were saying we're going to survive the next flood. We're going to build. And so here's a real question I have. There is something interesting about the concept of certain spaces have softer holes in the matrix of reality. That there are people that propose that. In fact, especially the spiritualists say that. But you look at Mount Horeb, you look at Sinai, you look at these places where God repeatedly shows up
Yep.
over and over again.
Yep.
It's interesting. The transfiguration of Christ. There are places of significance. Now, why are they significant? I don't know. I'm not making a claim. I think it's interesting. So, were they trying to do something as a unified group? Were they thinking that they could do this, and that ultimately, one way or the other, that thought would have been destructive to Christ coming, and that was the purpose, I think.
So yes,
So, in short, but I
I do agree with what you said, though.
I do want to start at the ontological
Yeah,
argument.
yeah.
And that really comes courtesy of Aquinas. And so, Mr. Producer, I would love you to go ahead and pull up our presentation. Yep. And I want to start with Aquinas because he is a great, great thinker. And this comes from Summa Theologia. And I actually want to pull up question 75, article 2 in book 1. He says, it must necessarily be allowed that the principle of intellectual operation, which we call the soul, is a principle both incorporeal and subsistent. It exists without, by itself, on its own. For it is clear that by means of the intellect, man can have knowledge of all corporeal things. Therefore, the intellectual principle, which we call the mind or the intellect, has an operation per se apart from the body. We must conclude, therefore, that the human soul, which is called the intellect or the mind, is something incorporeal and subsistent. Thank you, Mr. Producer, for just a moment. What he's getting at in this exact phrase, the fact that you have intangible thoughts and you have a brain that is experiencing intangible things, and we're going to get to that more in a little bit. If you've never been through Summa Theologia, I don't know if you're missing a lot of really dry questions and answers, but it's really one of the first apologists really hammering stuff out in the 13th century. So next one from Thomas Aquinas, Mr. Producer. Yes, so go ahead and pull up the next one. Thank you, sir. Now, to read this, this is objection 3 to Article 2 in question 75. The mind or the soul has no operation apart from the body, not even that of understanding, for the act of understanding does not take place without a phantasm, which cannot exist from the body. His response to that objection is the body is necessary for the action of the intellect, but not as its origin of action. But on the part of the object for the phantasm is the intellect, which what color is to sight. Neither does such a dependence on the body prove the intellect to be non-subsistent, something that exists outside. So let's explore what he's saying down, what he's laying out. He says the eye sees light. The eye is an organ. The brain is an organ. The eye experiences light. Does the eye experience sound in any appreciable way?
No.
No.
No. How does the brain process thought? Love? How does it grasp with immaterial concepts such as logic, mathematics? There is something driving the physical matter, and that something interacts with and is dependent upon that physical matter as its actions are soul for it to interact with the mind. That there is a physical connection there. So we are soul, mind, and body in the Thomistic sense. This is his model for the universe. And I actually think we can prove this out fairly well with some more modern thought experiments.
And I was just thinking, I wish Eric was here.
Eric Hernandez does a really good job on this. Go
Yeah.
check out Eric Hernandez. He's an apologist. He's actually had many debates on the mind is not the body and the soul is not the mind. And he does a very, very good job. I will not try to tackle that in the short time that we have here today for this because he does a great job. Go check him out on YouTube. You can find him just about anywhere debating someone on it. Does a great job. So I want to go to the next piece from Aquinas, Mr. Producer. And he went on further to say that true light enlightens as a universal cause from which the human soul derives a particular power. And it kind of lines up with John 1:9.
Yeah.
That was the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. What Aquinas is saying is we get intellect, reason, logic from their source. And that source is like the light bulb. Love, understanding, mathematics, logic. These are emanations from God, from the being of the divine. Now, this is a purely philosophical proof, but I think we can make it a little bit more material, a little bit more concrete. Any questions or thoughts so far?
Other than Aquinas, I don't know. I'm not a well-studied expert on Aquinas. I have a lot of respect for him, though.
So-
just in the bit that I do,
Yeah.
he's really good.
Really, really, really good theologian. I don't agree with everything that he has to say, as few people agree with every single thing. However, he is a fantastic thinker, and the legwork that he puts in is well worth your time. So I want to go to the next step. I want to go to a counter argument, okay? And I want to go to a couple of them. So a couple that we're familiar with, Mr. Producer. First off is Michael Shermer. And Michael Shermer is one of the four horsemen of the new atheist apocalypse, as they call him. In the materialist case, stated plainly, Michael Shermer says, no brain, no mind, no body, no soul in the believing brain. Sam Harris also said this. He said, there are no immaterial souls. Consciousness depends on the brain. You damage the brain, you alter or extinguish the experience. And he wrote this in Waking Up in 2014. Now, one of the things I wanted to note here, in fairness, he also grants that there's no satisfying explanation for why the brain processes feel like anything. And he's open to consciousness being fundamental, but he says he thinks that you can find it in matter. Now,
He thinks you can find consciousness in matter.
he thinks you can find consciousness and morality in matter. And
So, in just real quick,
I think he's failed to prove either.
correct, but that is where AI is going.
Well,
That's their attempt.
absolutely. Absolutely. And so I think that it is something that we want to tread carefully there.
Absolutely.
So what I would say is hydroencephalopathy patients, that's so hard to say.
Yep.
Patients who have a infection that eats away at the brain, there are some that have had 90-something% of their brain eaten, and they still had the same personality, and they largely were able to function just as they were before. I think that destroys Sam Harris's argument.
Yeah, and actually, if you don't mind, Ryan, can we go back and put those two back up? And that one's a good one right there. Damage the brain, you alter or extinguish experience. And I would say that's not true. There's plenty of proof that that's not true.
Correct.
There's so many people that have had brain damage, and yet, take a look at all the people who have, I want to say Down syndrome. What's the other one that's very common?
You're talking about cerebral palsy?
Yes, thank you. When you take a look at those two groups of people, no, I'm sorry, I disagree with you, Sam, and just on that alone. But that's me. And the other quote, Ryan, if you could pull that one up right before Sam's, the one before that.
So just use the arrow key. Yeah.
You
You have to click on it. Yeah. There you go. Go back to with the arrow key. Yep.
and
So go forward.
I'm
one.
sorry.
Yeah,
don't
that's
worry
what
about
that's what I'm trying to tell you.
it. Yeah, don't worry about it.
You're
I'm thinking
flowing the roll.
No brain, no mind, no body, no soul. Okay. Define for me what a body is.
Get us up to John Lennox, by the way.
And to me,
Por
I disagree. I agree with that sentiment, but the case is some would say, well, then abortion's okay. Well, define body.
Well,
And that I think gets into a really, really sticky area. So the bottom line, AI is trying to show that material contains
the mind
yeah.
and the consciousness. And so I actually want to go further to John Lennox. Do you have him ready, Mr. Producer? Go ahead and throw him up. So John Lennox says this: no one I've talked to, no one, and I've talked to some of the world's leading researchers, no one knows what consciousness is. Many are perfectly content to simulate intelligence without consciousness.
Boy.
And he wrote this in 2084, Artificial Intelligence and the Future of Humanity. He wrote that in 2023, just for clarity's sake.
That's the name of the book,
2084.
You're right.
And so, thank you, Mr. Producer. What he's ultimately getting at is you can simulate intelligence, and you can simulate intellect. However, you cannot accomplish it. And this is where I really want to get to John Searle. And Professor John Searle did a really, really good job of this. If you can go ahead and throw that up, Mr. Producer. In 1980, he posed a thought experiment that still frames the debate over artificial intelligence. A computer can run the right program, give every correct answer, and understand nothing. He called it the Chinese room. He introduced this in Minds, Brains, and Programs, 1980. Now, I want to go ahead and define semantics versus syntax. So keep going, Mr. Producer. Syntax via Merriam-Webster, keep clicking, the way in which linguistic elements such as words are put together in forms, phrases, and clauses. Now, to hear Webster 1828 is a little bit different. In grammar, the construction of sentences, the due arrangement of words and sentences according to established usage. Now, we'll get to that in just a moment, but hold those two in your mind. Now, the next one that I want to define is semantics. And semantics is the study of meanings, the meanings of words and phrases in a language. So a program has syntax. The question I'd like to have is does it have semantics? To prove that point, go to the next slide, Mr. Producer. We're going to talk about the Chinese room. So now you go ahead and you take a man, and this man speaks no Chinese. Now you put him in a room. Now in this room, he has two windows or two doors. And in this room, he also has a rule book for the shapes of the Chinese language only. Now, you feed in questions in Chinese, and he has to assemble these via his rule book. And when he matches the shapes according to the rules, not the grammar, just the rules of the rule book, and he doesn't know what they mean, fluent Chinese will come out if the people who wrote the book were smart enough. Now, what people might think is that he actually understands Chinese. The man in the room has not a clue of what is going on. He has no idea. He has the syntax, not the semantics. Thank you, Mr. Producer.
That's perfectly illustrated.
So my question here is this. Do we all understand the difference between
Yes.
ABC
Yep.
versus understanding what the letter A, B, and C, and those in that order should trigger a bunch of semantics. We think about learning our ABCs. We understand that someone says ABC, they mean the definition. Do you know your ABCs? Mm-hmm. They don't just see A, B, C, and S and just know that that is a form of letters. Machines don't understand more than zeros and ones.
Unless they have a rule book that
And they have a rule book that they
has
can
to do
change.
it. That's right.
And so a Turing test is kind of similar to this thought experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And Turing what was kind of an interesting fellow, eclectic, a little bit of a weird sex freak, as a lot of those thinkers were back in the day. But what he set up for a Turing machine, and most digital computers today are Turing machines, and stop me if I'm wrong, Miss Nikki, but if you had a device that could mechanically see or detect like a zero or a one, and you had 1 1 1 0 0 1 0 0, you could say that you see 5 in that
Right.
set because there's 5 hashes in that set, and there's zeros, and those are a null. We understand semantically what that means. But if you could program that device that when it sees the 1, that it does something and it writes a hash, and when it sees a 0, it writes a 0 in a different corner in a hash, that device will come up with 5 hashes. It has no clue what those hashes are.
What it means,
It
it
doesn't
doesn't-
have the semantics of 5. It doesn't know that 5 is related in American culture to Five Guys. Like it doesn't have that thought process.
Correct.
At the end of a day, at the end of the day, Turing machines, which is what our computers are, I'm holding up my laptop right now if you're on audio, Turing machines do not have thoughts. And so we need to understand that it's becoming more complicated. We're doing a better job at writing the instruction manual for the guy who's sitting in the Chinese room,
That's the key.
So,
but it's not actually
Not actually.
intelligence.
That's right.
so tell me if this applies. This is the thought that I had was the reason that we have software, we have breakdowns in software.
Mm-hmm.
So then it stops working. Well, could not, if it could take on thought, could not it reason itself into making its
And
own
that's already been
correction?
shown.
Yes.
You've had some people that have used the AGI models or others that they've given permission to the AI platform, and it's totally wiped out things,
Oh yeah.
unrecoverable.
So one company, they did a red team test. They said hack our system, and they didn't have an unlock for it.
Oh, dear.
So ultimately, it locked them out of
Locked
all of
them
their
out of-
emails. It locked
Yep.
the whole system down, and did a ransomware without actually asking for ransom, and there was no unlock protocol.
And that goes right to your point, Nikki. To me, and you said it perfectly, John Arthur, that when we write better instruction manuals,
It will
okay,
appear.
it will appear.
It will reflect the intelligence
That's right.
of the creator. Of,
And
wait a
that's
minute.
all that it does. It does nothing more than that.
So, from Rottweiler, there are 1-0 kinds of people in the world: those who understand binary and those who don't. I had to spell it out because otherwise the joke doesn't carry.
Oh, that was good.
That was cute.
That was good.
So, and at Dawn of a New Day, we are doing your song today. So
Yeah.
on PSB, if you're listening on PSB, you can submit those and they will be done live. So if you go over to Further Every Day at YouTube or Rumble and drop a song review request, we will put that in the queue and let us know what else we should talk about. But moving on, I do want to keep going on this. So I want to go to our CAPE ratio and what this says for the economy. And you might be saying, hey, John Arthur, this is an apologetics podcast. Why are we talking about the economy? I promise you, not only should it be interesting, but also there is a very, very spiritual aspect to this that we need to be aware of. But before we get to the CAPE ratio, I want to go ahead and look at a fellow who came up with the CAPE ratio, and this would be Robert Shiller. Now, Robert Shiller is a Yale economist, Nobel laureate in 2013. But in the 80s, Yale economist Robert Shiller documented a pattern when stocks are priced far above their long-run earnings, weak future returns tend to follow. No duh, Sherlock. With John Campbell, he built the CAPE ratio to measure it, price it over 10 years of inflation-adjusted earnings, which strips out the boom year distortions. A high reading marks a market that is genuinely overvalued, not one merely of having a strong year. His irrational exuberance used to call out the dot-com bubble in 2000. And its next edition, called Housing, today it stands above 40%, a mark not seen only once before at the eve of the dot-com crash. CAPE, cyclical adjusted price to earnings, the Shiller PE. So thank you, Mr. Producer. Now, what's the CAPE ratio? Why is that important? Things are overpriced
For AI.
for AI. And in fact, we're going to see right here that the AI boom has been hitting headlines. Go ahead and pull that up, Mr. Producer. And the Treasury has internal reports warning about the dangers of the AI bubble. This is from Notice in July 26. January 26, Oliver Wyman reports how the AI bubble burst could shake the financial market. We have roughly $4 billion a year spent against $100 billion in revenue.
Uh-oh.
You mean 400 billion a year spent?
400 billion a year, thank you, spent against 100 billion in revenue. Now, this is really important when you look at X. And X is being folded into the index right now. Used to be that index seasoning existed to protect the markets. Before an index would add a new stock, it had to season it, trade for about 3 months, and put at least 10% of its shares into public hands. The wait let the market find the real price and build liquidity before the index funds, which hold trillions in retirements savings, were forced to buy it. If it's on the index, it gets bought. X and SpaceX are an interesting case study. Next slide, Mr. Producer. Now, to understand the next part of this, we need to understand the term the Magnificent Seven. Who are they? NVIDIA, Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, and Tesla. These are the largest mega champs of the S&P 500. Okay,
And
these
they're
are,
big, NVIDIA especially.
and so this is important. Next cut, Mr. Producer. What's going on right now with AI? Well, XAI, one of the largest parts of the AI industry, is at a $6.4 billion loss, had a $16 billion debt in 2025. It was folded into SpaceX in February of this year, in the year of our Lord 2026. SpaceX took the debt, rolled it in. There's a $20 billion bridge loan being used. Now, without it properly being seasoned, it's being taken public and it's going to be indexed. It's indexing right now. Okay. Next cut, Mr. Producer. You're seeing the $16 billion of debt, just in case you're missing my point here, rolling from XAI into SpaceX. Next cut, Mr. Producer. SpaceX is then directly involved, and also not only is it bigger, is it growing, but also all these other shares, all these other funds are taking on a part of the debt. What does that mean? Thank you, Mr. Producer, for a moment. What does that mean? It means that all of your retirement funds are largely based on this. Trillions of dollars are going to basically bailing out. It is a government bailout in the form of a stock market bailout of Elon Musk. I like Musk. Okay, just to be clear,
Lot of ingenuity.
I am not a Musk hater,
Right.
but he's also desperate.
Yep.
And he's a drowning 1.2 trillion or whatever it is right now rat. And drowning rats get onto wreckage.
Yep. They sure do.
He is the world's first trillionaire, but also he has more debt than most people will ever see in their lives. He is not liquid. So I wish there's no Elon hate here. Okay, just want to be really careful. But for those of you who are super excited about the IPO, be careful of SpaceX. And why is that relevant? Well, what happens when you have massive shifts of wealth? You have serious political and social unrest.
Yeah.
And I want to take us actually to the Haymarket Affair of 1886 at a similar time, a similar industrial revolution that turned violent. And this happened in May 4th of 1886. We talked about it in Nikki Knows
Yep.
Facts a few weeks ago. The fight for an 8-hour day ended in a bomb and a riot. 7 policemen and an unknown number of workers dead. It became the origin of May Day, and the shorter workday it demanded was eventually won. Every age that displaced the worker has passed through unrest like this. AI is the next large displacement. It is the next assessment, thank you, Mr. Producer, of the contract between factory owner and the factory workers, between the government and the people. We're at a place right now where it's about to get more and more violent and more concerning. And to that end, let's actually look at AI and warfare. AI and warfare is even more interesting because it has reshaped the world. The drone fights in Ukraine have
Big,
taught us that
big.
this is a new
frontier.
And China specifically actually has developed and published their 96 drone swarm. Okay, this looks like a SAM launcher if you're on audio, but what it's actually shooting is high-speed drones that are AI enabled. They're able to dodge incoming munitions. They're able to guess best placement of flak. They're able to do all of these really, really complicated maneuvers moving towards their kill zone. And 96 drones fired by one operator.
So it takes me back to Ronald Reagan when he was proposing the Star Wars idea and the ability to execute war from space. And when you think about that, you also think about what Musk has done, especially with Starlink,
Yeah.
all the satellites that are up there. And so this technology to me is just the fruition of what Reagan was really trying to get at that time.
Yes.
And I won't say that we're behind the eight ball. I don't think we're in front of the eight ball either.
Yeah, we should be concerned.
Yep.
And AI, there's a reason why Trump is human and he's often wrong, but not that often. And on this, him pushing for us to be the superpower on AI,
Is smart.
he's actually correct,
Yep.
guys.
He is.
Do I like noisy, poorly run data centers? No.
Nope.
No. They need to be held to account like any other company
Business.
is, and they're often allowed to do all sorts of horse crap that they should never be allowed to do. Noted. Agreed. But if you want to be on top, guys, someone has to have nuclear superiority. Someone has to have AI superiority. It is the next Cold War, and we are entering
And
it.
the thing is, this is one of those, I'm going to call it war. If we don't win this one,
It's bad.
it's bad for everyone else.
It's bad.
Yep.
So why am I going there? I said that we would relate this because I do think that if they set up a global stock market crash, what is that going to make way for?
Control.
Everyone is
Absolutely.
going to ask, please, I'll do anything. Put a mark on my wrist, put a mark on my head. Anything. I don't care. And the leader that comes in and solves that issue,
That's the one.
that's the one. I'm not saying that that will be Antichrist, but oh my gosh, it
Sure sounds it.
It sure would fit the bill. It would fit the bill. I'm not big into playing pin the tail on the Antichrist, but I would say we should be aware that these things are happening and we should take heart.
And we should not be fearful.
Correct.
And that's not what we're trying to
Articulate here.
articulate here. I love what Ryan Hall says. Don't be scared, be prepared.
Correct.
That's what we're trying to
I
articulate.
totally agree. It is something that we absolutely should be aware of, and we should be joyfully awaiting the return of Messiah.
Amen.
So, have we seen this before? Well, we started to talk about this early. We kind of gunned the jump
I'm
here.
sorry.
But let's go ahead and kind of take a biblical walk through this. In fact, Rottweiler on the live PSP was saying there are several places that talk about the increase of knowledge and potentially AI in the chat. Some good notes there, Rottweiler. Go ahead and throw that up, Mr. Producer. The Tower of Babel is obviously the one that all of us think of.
Yep.
And the Lord said, behold, the people is one. They have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Genesis 11:6. What I want to say about that specifically, though, is I think we put too much power in their minds, but rather that when you have a collective group of people, look at the transgender movement. That is a social contagion. Look at the nasty, gossipy church ladies. That is a social contagion.
But neither of which, in
When-
my opinion, comes to the level of a Babylon.
No, but I'm saying put everyone in one place, say this is all you are, this is all that you have.
Yeah.
And you have everyone in one place, all in agreement. That changes the mind. And
Yes.
and you can do a little bit here, a little bit there, but imagine the whole, we're all cognizant of it. We're the
Yep.
only humanity that exists. And watch any science fiction movie where that case is presented. People turn animalistic. And I think the writers are kind of right. That is something that happens. And you look at the behavioral sync, which we've covered many times. The next one that I actually want to look at is Daniel. And this is in Daniel 12:4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even from the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. And then I want to look at Revelation next, Revelation 13:17. And that no man might buy or sell that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, a lot of people think that you could, I remember this. Did you hear this during COVID? If you take the COVID shot, the Fauci ouchie, you're now under the mark of the beast.
I did not hear that.
I heard
I'm
people
not
say that.
surprised.
And it's like, guys, no, 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 no. The mark of the beast is going to be something that you take and you say, I profess allegiance to. I pledge allegiance to Satan in his domain. Like, that's what
And
you're going
there's
to be
got to
doing.
be, for them to do that, there's got to be some sort of knowledge that what I'm doing, I'm making my pledge, my allegiance.
Correct.
It's not going to be
It's not going to be in
naive.
ignorance.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's not going to be it. But what we will see is a desire and a need and an economic
Yep.
collapse. And look at what they did in Canada when the truckers protested.
Oh, yeah.
They froze. It was 208 bank accounts or 206. I forget the exact number, somewhere in there. Someone fact check me. We had hundreds of people's personal accounts frozen for terrorism for protesting the Fauci ouchie.
Yep.
So just imagine for a moment that whether it's pro AI, anti AI, by the way, you see both. You see people who are rabidly pro and rabidly anti. I had a friend tell me he was basically not going to speak to me ever again because I use AI and some of the stuff that I do. If I kept doing it in a way that offended his sensibilities.
The thing is, that, and we've talked about this, AI is amoral.
It's how you use
It's
it.
how you use it.
It's how you use it. It's just another
It's a tool.
It's just another tool. And so people just really lose their minds over this. And so whether it's maybe it'll be over AI, maybe it'll be over Christianity itself, or it'll be some conglomeration, maybe it'll be over, are you Islamophobic? I don't know.
But if you look at Canada and the truckers there, that's a microcosm of what the future will
Of what's
be.
coming.
Yeah. And that's what I don't think people really understand.
Yeah.
Is that concept right there. That bothered me greatly that happened. And I'm glad that Trudeau is no longer there. Unfortunately, they put somebody in that was just as bad.
In Canada, they are retrying those people and they are going to prison again, says Child of the Highest King on PSB's Rumble.
That is so wrong.
If that's true, that's got to be a human rights
That is
violation.
so wrong.
There's something that must be done. Unfortunately, they just don't understand. The Bible has been criminalized, says Child of the Highest King. That is scary.
True. That is true.
And you watch that. You watch pastors get put away.
In England, that's common right now. And I'm telling you, in the U.S., it has been attempted, and it's a matter of time.
We need to fight that as hard as
Absolutely.
we can. People say, well, but the end is coming. I'm just going to put my hands under my butt and sit on them. No, no, no. Get up and fight. Get up and fight for what's true, what's right. And
Do what's
good.
right.
Do what's right. Do that. That is your job. You are supposed to be salt and light. The reason why the world is as bad as it is the church has been a limp, ineffective
Yes.
noodle.
Yes. Absolutely right on that.
And so evil has just prevailed. And that's why we need the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, come and dwell on us. Come and dwell into our hearts and our minds, because eventually we're going to have the presence of God upon us. And either you will be in pain and torment and sequestered to hell, or you will be in rapturous joy.
You know, we just went to see the movie, The Young George Washington. And I was thinking about, wow, what a brave young man and the things that he accomplished. But in reality, he did not see himself that way.
No.
What was he looking at? What future was he looking at?
He wanted to be a British gentleman, really.
Yes.
But
yes.
then the war, the politics before the war, and then after the war, the internal fighting within Congress. And I thought, you know, he probably stressed out the way that we stress out looking at the world today. But he was there for his time, and we're here for our time.
For such a time as this.
Yes, for such a time as this. This is what you were born for. This is the day and hour in which you were called to live. And you have a purpose. There's a purpose for you to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So will AI? No, it won't. Sorry, it won't. It's not that. The question is who's controlling it? What are they doing with it? And where are they going with it?
It's all about
and
the rule book.
And what's the purpose? It's all about the
And
rule
it's
book
simulation.
in the Chinese room. So I hope you understood that. Mr. Producer, did the Chinese room make sense to you as it was laid out? It's pretty simple.
Pretty much. I might have to go over it a couple more times, but generally, yeah. I
Yeah.
think I got it.
It's a simple concept, but it's hard to articulate. It's difficult.
I thought you did it really well.
So hopefully that made sense.
Yes.
And so tell us in the comments section if that made sense. It's kind of a that and the Turing test. I would like to at some point do a better job of animating a little just diagram of the Turing test. But this is something that people just don't seem to understand easily. So
And the last comment I've got on this AI stuff for today, it's so important that we understand that when we're utilizing AI is not the be all end all.
no,
You still have to check it.
correct, 100%. It's just like
Actually,
Google.
Yeah, I actually put something into AI the other day and it did not give me the correct answer. And it's funny is because I'm not going to say what I put in there, but I have actually seen pictures and heard testimony. And so I was like, okay, I want to go find that stuff on AI. Well, AI gave me the liberal
Version.
scientific version.
So
And it's like, wait a minute, I already know this exists.
for a couple of weeks ago, we did that one bit on the goat herd that was attacked by a
Okay.
Near Eastern immigrant.
Yeah,
And one
yeah.
of the goats died because he did the,
Yeah.
the nasty westy. AI 3 times said this has never happened. This is, oh, you see, and it gaslit me. I would send it news articles and say, hey, here's a real article. And I was testing it, right?
Yeah.
And I was playing with
Yeah.
it. It says, no, so, and this is a perfect example of how someone could take something out of context. And then finally says, I'm sorry, that was on me. You're right. Everything that you said to this date has been correct. And so people will absolutely lose their objectivity when they sign it over to search engines.
That's right.
Do you remember when Google came out and everyone would just Google it, and then you believed that because you read it on Google?
Because you read it on Google.
And you didn't read the next 3 articles? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Like
yes.
in the early 2000s, that was so common. People said, well, I Googled it, and so I know.
Yep.
And it became a joke. It became a byword.
It's funny that you're bringing up that story about feeding it the articles and it's still resisting. I had that happen with a chat GPT thread. And I got to the point where I said, don't ever do that to me again, or I will go use Claude or something else.
And what did he say?
He responded, look, and this is another thing that all of our listeners and viewers should understand. You have to understand the purpose or the main purpose that AI responds the way that it does to you. Its job is to keep you coming back.
Because it is like social media. It is articulated towards continued usage.
So you are always going to be shown the affirmed or affirmation.
Yes, it strokes your ego.
It strokes your ego, and you should understand that categorically. If you're a new person that is starting to use AI and you do not understand that concept, I would encourage you not to touch AI until you've understood it clearly, because otherwise you are going to get sucked into a world that you really don't want to be sucked into.
Yeah.
It'll lead you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us what we should look at next week if you have any thoughts. I see one from Dearman saying that only the U.S. and possibly a future EU fit the Babylonian description of Revelation 18. I actually disagree a little bit with that, but I'd like to look into that more. Send me some data on that. And then Child of the Highest King Grok often says that's just an old conspiracy.
Yep.
I've noticed that with Grok. It's one of the reasons why I stopped using that.
I don't use Grok.
A long time ago. Brian Williams, normal people don't just believe stuff and understand how to navigate search engines and evaluate evidence and primary sources. Brian Williams, 17, you are not a normal person. You are actually outside of the curve. You are on the top of end of the curve or even on the correct side of the bell. No, most people just believe. And ask me how I know. I talk to so many who just say, well, Chat GPT said this.
Yep.
That is so common. So
Yep.
thank you,
And
Brian
yet
Williams,
we
for
all
being
know,
intelligent.
That's the scary thing. That is the scary thing, is that we are mentally lazy people and we want the answers from somebody else. We don't want to put the work in to find the right.
Boy, and I'll tell
Correct.
you, of all the things in life, that sums up a great principle. There is nothing that's going to come easy in life. You must work
Intellectual
it.
sloth.
Yeah.
Intellectual sloth. Most of
Yeah.
us are not born with second-rate brains. We just have a second-rate morality applied to what we
Yep.
should be learning.
I agree.
So, with that said, tell us your thoughts in the comments section and in the live chat over on PSB, and then we're going to get into some apologetics with Charlie.
Yeah, and today, sitting at the apologetics table, we are going to be taking a look at a key question: what is the meaning and purpose of life? So, Mr. Ryan, have you got us there? Thank you very much. Go to that previous. Actually, no, stay right there. That's good. That's good. There's 4 common questions that every worldview must answer. These are the questions: where did I come from? Where am I going? What is the meaning and purpose of life? And how do I reconcile good and evil, or right and wrong? All right. I like to use the terms good and evil because it's a broader brush with which to do that. But every worldview must do that. And which one answers it best? And I think when you look at Christianity, I would hold that Christianity is the one that answers it best. But there's, of those 4 questions today, I wanted to take a look at what is the meaning and purpose of life, because I did a little bit of research on all of this, and I found something that was rather disturbing. Ryan, go ahead and pull us up to the next cut there, if you would, please. Yep, next one. Sorry. So, according to a post from Cultural Research Center at Arizona Christian University, approximately 75% of millennials are desperately seeking meaning and purpose in life. That means they are questioning their very reason for living. Now, I submit to you, this isn't merely a philosophical question anymore. Now it's become a personal crisis. I want you to think about 75%, 3 out of every 4 really are trying to figure out what is the meaning and purpose of life. And I doubt seriously that we have ever had a statistic that high for that kind of question. That's very disturbing. And I think as parents, we've done a poor job of really helping our children understand what that meaning and purpose is. So today I want to go into that a little deeper. We've got some more statistics to show you. Ryan, if you pull up the next one, please. So the research from this university showed this: 22% contend that life is sacred.
That's very low.
And I wanted to pause there
Yeah.
for a moment. That's 78% that don't think it is.
That's a dangerous place to be.
Absolutely is dangerous, and it doesn't bode well for the future of your society.
Correct.
So this is disturbing.
Every society that is broken down what is sacred ultimately loses its ability to
Yes.
stand.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, look, we've talked off air about different preachers of old in England. Where has England gone?
Yeah.
Well, she's gone exactly with where England took it. And that was a denial of the sacred.
And then what do you get? A bunch of people who hold something sacred coming in and
Yep.
conquering you, but not the nice ones.
That's it. Ryan, pull that back up if you would, please. 50% argue that life is what you make it. There is no absolute value associated with human life. Wow. Only 5% think that life is great. That's interesting. That's 95% that think life is not great. What do you think their mentality would be?
It's not X, it's not Y.
That's it.
It's because we have this comparative social media atmosphere where you get to see someone's best work of 6 months or of 2 months or years, and you see them performing it,
Yep.
and you don't see how much work they put in to get
Yep.
there. You want their cake.
so
and yours
misleading.
too. It is so misleading.
So misleading. Go ahead, Ryan, pull that back up one more time. And then the last point, most are only moderately satisfied with their lives. I don't know where you all are at today. That is pertaining to millennials. I think as a Gen Xer, it is important that we show these young people the importance of the meaning and purpose of life, where to find it. And it's not in social media. It's not in AI. It's not in those things.
Can I add
Go
something
ahead.
there? Because I heard this the other day. Is everybody wants to have quote unquote an identity? I identify as this.
Yes.
I identify as that. And what happens is that we brought that and made that an altar to worship on.
Yeah, because I identify in Christ.
Yes. And so I think what you're talking about is they have made a stand that this is my identity now. So I need to bow down here, and it's not satisfying.
Well,
And it's not fulfilling.
people want to find their identity in a group. They want to find it in also something that's fulfilling to them. Guess what? Jesus Christ is a great identity.
And you know what?
That's right.
It's interesting you guys are bringing that up, because if you think about the LGBTQ stuff,
Yeah.
Elemental P.
what is a lot of that associated with?
Two-spirited.
I want to identify
as
something.
and what they're doing is they're altering or trying to alter reality
Yeah.
to suit themselves. It is the first lie. You will be as God, knowing right from wrong, knowing good from evil. You're going to be able to choose. And
Right.
And what are so many in the LGBTQ movement feeling today?
despair.
I want out.
Despair.
And
You're-
that, I
you're
mean,
looking
the
at
stats are bearing it.
One clinic, as of, I forget if it was 24 or 23, one clinic in the UK had done something like 19,000 transition surgeries, over 1,000 co-signers to a joint class action lawsuit of the children who had been transitioned.
I'm sorry, how many did you say?
1,000.
Oh. So this is not something everybody wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well. How about
Yeah.
that? Ryan, let's keep going. Okay. So, oops. Oh,
So while he's pulling that up,
Yeah.
Dearman actually says this, and I think it's worth looking at. What percentage of young people can afford a $500,000 house, the upkeep, the taxes, et cetera, let alone a down payment? And I totally agree with that
Absolutely.
statement.
And I'll tell you the area that probably a little closer to home, pardon the pun,
Yeah.
vehicles.
Yeah.
What are young people doing today? What are they looking to do? Well, they want something brand new,
Yeah.
and what they
Oh my
want, they
gosh.
can't afford.
I agree with this. You see, here's the thing. In Houston, I can find a house for $200,000. Is it going to be a McMansion?
Nope.
No.
Going to be a fixer-upper.
I'm driving a cash car right now.
Yeah.
It's okay, guys. It's
It's
okay.
getting you from point A to point B.
You can buy it. It's a 2013 Expedition. I am so happy. Oh my gosh, I am so happy. Buy a cash car, work
Run it.
hard,
Run
run it into the dirt. That's what I'm doing right now. It is totally fine.
Ryan, you got it for us there. He's trying.
Here, keep going for a second, Charlie. Keep going. I
Okay.
got it. I got it.
That'll be good. When I was talking to my daughter about this yesterday, as a matter of fact, regarding the issue of cars, and she was lamenting. You have to understand, my daughter is what,
31.
31. So her and her husband doing a wonderful job. He has good work. They're paying bills and whatnot, and they're needing to think about a different vehicle. They've got 3 kids, and the vehicles they've got, they would like to have a slightly bigger vehicle to kind of move people around. And totally get that. She was saying that they had gone to a dealership and they looked at this one vehicle. It was like $53,000. And I said, Serena, you need to be very careful with this stuff, because here's what's going on. And it's not going to be in the near distant future. And you're not even going to be able to have a car, period. Because what a lot of young people are doing is they are going and purchasing vehicles that are out of their price range. They're getting the loans for 6, 7, 8 years. They run the vehicle for 4 years. They feel like they need another new one. And guess what they're doing? They're running back to the dealership, folding that loan back into the next vehicle that is way out of their price range. And all they've done is they've set themselves up for the situation of not ever being able to get a vehicle again, other than one of those cash cars.
Correct. And so I've got a friend who did the same thing. He's like $8,000 upside down on a
Oh my
Ford
goodness.
that is continuously breaking down
Oh my
Cannot
goodness.
imagine.
on a brand new car. So that happens,
Yep.
right? So anyway, you got to be able to live within your means.
And that issue of the house,
Yep,
same
same thing.
issue.
Same thing.
Okay, Ryan, let's have that cut if we could, please. So, the university president, Len Munsell, stated this. They are rejecting, this is talking about the millennials, they are rejecting the ways of God and are desperately seeking something, anything, to take his place. That is exactly right. And Barna concluded that many of these challenges coincide with a rejection of God, absolute truth, and the embrace of competing worldviews. Well, what do we have? We have exactly that. We have young people today embracing alternate worldviews. We're probably going to be doing an apologetic very soon on the issue of capitalism versus socialism.
Yep. Which one's more fair?
Right. That's going to be coming soon to a podcast near you. Just need to finish putting that together. But the point is this. Our young people, we have not done a good job explaining to our young people
The
why.
difference. Yeah.
The whys have not been explained. And that's to our detriment. Ryan, next cut, if you would, please. Romans 1:25, who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. If there was ever a time in which we have done that, it is today. I'm not saying it's the only time,
Yeah.
but we have really put that up super high. Charlie, what are you talking about? We got people that think the mountains are everything. We got people that think the trees are everything. We got people that think the whales are everything. We've got people that, should I go on? Oh, by the way, we got a lot of people that think dogs are the everything.
Oh, better than having kids. Sorry,
They
they're not
They have equated them
to kids.
to kids.
Guys, I'm sorry if you're in the chat and you're this way. Some people who are on this podcast, or have been on this podcast rather, have said this. Please don't call your dogs fur babies. They did not come out. They did not come out that way. They did not come into this world that way. I hope not. Anyway, they are ontologically different than your children.
Amen.
Real or
Amen.
unrealized. I'm sorry. They are different.
Ryan, next cut, please. Uh-oh, got another one.
Okay.
And I've got some great, so the thing is, I've got some great statistics that I want to give to you here. This is coming from Barna Research. And by the way, these sites will be
Go back.
in in the show notes.
Very good.
So I would encourage you to take a look at these when you get a moment. Here's the questions that some of them are asking. Will we have a future? How do I know what's true? Will anyone actually show up for me? Is God even there? Now, note what the questions are not about. They are not about money. They are not about politics. By the way, I believe you should teach your kids about money. I think you should teach your kids how to be responsible. I think you should teach your kids about politics. I think you should tell them how to be responsible with it. I think you should teach your kids about technology and how they should be responsible with it. And they're not asking questions about entertainment. That's an eye-opening thing. Go back to that cut there, Mr. Ryan. The 4 questions that the 13 to 18-year-olds are asking are these questions. By the way, this research just came out in June of 2026. This is not Pomeroy opinion. This is directly from their article. Will we have a future? How would you like to be a 13-year-old today walking around wondering if you're even going to get to the place of being married? How do I know what's true? No, keep it there, Ryan. Don't move that. How do I know what's true? I'm walking around in life today and I don't even know if the thing that I'm being told is true. How would you like to be there? Will anyone actually show up for me? Now, of all the questions that have been asked, this one right there is the most disturbing. Will anyone actually show up for me? In other words, am I even loved? That's really what we're getting to. Last question, is God even there? If there is a telling question that shows that we have failed, it is that one. We have not shown how God is there. Next cut, Mr. Ryan. Will we have a future? 78% feel at least some pressure to have answered how they'll make a living one day. Can I just say praise the Lord on this? I'm very thankful that 78% are asking that question.
Yeah.
They're at least thinking about it. 77% wonder whether their generation will have a stable future. Okay. 77% feel pressure to answer whether society is headed in the right direction or falling apart. That should not be. They shouldn't feel that kind of pressure. And 74% aren't sure whether getting an education really matters. I would say this.
You have to define what an education
There you
is.
go.
If you're talking about going and getting gender studies, and 74% of them, probably 50% of that number went and got some liberal arts degree. They're correct to wonder.
Yep.
They're correct. You don't need
They've been taught to wonder that.
you don't need a college education for 60 to 80% of the trades that people
Mike
go
Rowe
into.
is just I love that guy.
Yeah,
He's very simple, practical,
correct.
you know, I mean,
Correct.
and he is trying to get young people to understand, look, college is not for everyone. You can do great in different trades.
And
Yeah.
AI cannot take over those trades.
No.
It's going to be the legal professions and the lower paid legal professions, the lower paid tech writers,
Yep.
professors, a lot of the blue haired.
When you think about
Nonsense.
plumbers, are we ever going to make it without plumbers? I don't think
It's-
we ever make it.
It's going to be hard.
I don't see how we do out without electricians.
Yeah.
Please fix my air conditioner.
Yeah.
Boy, AC people. That's a great one. Next cut, Mr. Ryan.
I want my AC.
Yes.
Yep.
AI can't do it.
Will we have a future? Those are the questions they're asking there. Those are the statistics. Next one. How do I know what's true? 73% feel pressure to answer what makes a good life.
Well, you look around you and you try to, that's what I did as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I looked around and said, okay, is this a good life? Is this person having a good life? I don't want that life. Maybe I want that life,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're looking around, and are they seeing anything that's desirable?
Absolutely right. Mr. Ryan. 72% are wrestling with what is true or worth believing. 70% feel pressure to answer who they really are. As a matter of fact, we're going to be in our Wednesday night studies, we're going to be coming to that question. Who am I really? 69% wonder what is right and wrong. Man, that's pretty simple to get to.
Yep.
If we just put them in the right lens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next cut, Mr. Ryan. Dealing with the issue of what is the meaning and purpose of life? Will anyone actually show up for me? 71% feel pressure around where they truly belong. 67% feel pressure to know whether people genuinely care about them. 66% claim they feel pressure to know how they should treat others. 66% wonder why they're here. That's troubling. 59% are still working out whether their parents or caregivers will always love them. I just, this blows my mind to see these numbers. Next cut, Mr. Ryan. Is God even there? 57% of teens feel pressure to know if God loves them, and 56% wonder whether God is even real.
That's good. I'm glad they're wondering.
They're asking,
I'm glad they're thinking, and we need to be ready.
ready
with
to
a-
answer.
with a real answer. None of this seeker-friendly bull crap. I'm sorry. It is not cool. And some people are going to say, "Oh no, he said bull crap." You know what? The words Jesus used were
Pretty strong.
stronger than that in the Hebrew dialect. So,
Got some verses here, Mr. Ryan, if you'll pull them up here real quick. Micah 6:8. He hath showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. Next one. Isaiah 43:7. Even every one that is called by my name, for I have created him for my glory. I have formed him, yea, I have made him. Yep, next one. Ecclesiastes 12:13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Next one. And these words from Jesus, Matthew 22:37-39. Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Notice that it's simple. Love God, love man. That's the meaning and purpose of life. That right there. If we would dig into our Bibles, if we would put God in his proper place, we will find that life, it will have its challenges, but you'll be able to navigate them. And if you understand the totality of what God is working through and toward, you'll understand this is just a momentary thing. God created time for man. He did not create it for himself. God he lives outside of time. When he looks at your life, when he looks at my life, when he looks at all of our lives, he sees the whole thing, not a little glimpse. He doesn't see July the 12th at 2:07 in the afternoon. That's not what he sees. He sees everything. And when we put God in his proper place, we will understand the meaning and purpose of life. All four questions: where did I come from? Where am I going to? What is the meaning and purpose of life? And how do I reconcile good and evil? Those four questions have to be answered by every worldview. Which worldview answers them best? That's where I leave you for today.
And I would say that I think there's great hope when you wake up in the morning and you think, my life has purpose. My life has purpose. God created me. I don't know. I may not know what that purpose is today, but when you wake up and you realize today means something, that gives you hope.
I love the Truth Project by Dr. Del Tacca, and he does this one lesson on there surrounding the issue of labor. And I remember the first time going through that study, I remember that I used to think that Mondays were a dread. I really did. He got done with that lesson, and I was so excited for Monday to come.
Still excited for Friday, but you're
Yeah, I was really excited for Monday because he showed that we were created to create.
yes.
We were created to be a creator, if you will.
Yeah.
Not in the sense of the way that God created, but
No,
in that playground.
In that sense,
Yeah. And I think that if we would look at our work that way,
it would be different.
it would be way different.
You're going to work in heaven. And that's why the anti-work movement is I'm not going to call you, I'm not calling you a demon if you're a part of the anti-work movement. That's not what I'm calling. But I am saying that you have fallen to a demonic mindset.
Idea.
And it's a demonic idea. It's no different than being transgender. It's no different. It's something that is attacking you and is trying to bring you down. You should enjoy your work. Either you are in the wrong vocation or you have the wrong heart if you say, thank God it's Friday every single day, unironically.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So
I would agree with that.
So you need to find a vocation that you can be fulfilled in and that you can
Yes.
do a good job because you will work in heaven. You will work for God.
Yeah, my
But it
mother
won't
taught
seem
me.
like work. It'll be fun.
It's the perfect communist utopia. It's what everything that they want in communism, but they'll never get because they put man on the throne instead of Jesus.
Yep.
That's true.
Spot on.
So we've got a bunch of questions. Guys, put your questions in over at Further Everyday on Rumble or on YouTube on our channels, and we will get to your questions. We will literally queue them. We will put them in. I'm trying to capture them, but please go put them in. Drop a comment at Further Everyday on Rumble or Further Everyday YouTube, because we want to do Dogs Go to Heaven. The right
Ooh.
the right to repair.
Ooh.
The right to repair.
All
Do you,
dogs go to heaven. No,
Mr. Producer, is settled? Mr. Charlie does not believe the cats do, but we will get into that.
Cats do not go to heaven.
That debate will happen. The right to repair. We're going to have issues with codes. Okay, guys, help us by putting those comments in, and we will actually get to them, and we will go deep dive, because we don't want to just shoot from the hip. We want to actually think about it. We want to prepare, provide some research. Hopefully, we provide value to you. We try to never just speak opinions. We try to actually cite. You notice all of our sources are cited. We put them in the links down below on our podcast and everywhere you can find the video. So
I would
please put
encourage
them
you to
down.
go to the Barna research, because it just came out.
All of that is present. Charlie's going to make sure that he has that in my hands. He doesn't yet. Make sure I have all that.
Yep.
And
I've got them. I've got
we're
them
gonna
documented.
we're gonna be putting that in your
push it over.
resources. We always try to resource what we say. We want to be sources of truth. Now it's time for Nikki Knows Facts. Almost.
Almost.
Inept robber. No camels are allowed on the highways in Nevada. He has a hacksaw. This is not a mannequin. This is a human corpse.
I'm sorry.
I love
this every week.
I love
I
it.
can't imagine being that person pulling that arm
Pulling
off.
that arm off.
Oh my goodness. What's
It's
today?
a mannequin.
I'm so glad
it's not.
I'm so glad you're doing this segment now. It's so good to have you doing it.
Oh,
Well, we are done with our 250 years. So
that was
now-
a journey.
Yeah,
That was a good journey.
That was
Well,
a
I
great
love
idea.
history, so that was fun for me. Now, today we're going to talk about this event. You know, since I love history, I'm surprised I did not know about this. But it's going to sound like something out of a Hollywood movie, but it really happened. It's going to involve hundreds of soldiers, helicopters, fighter jets, bombers, tanks, special forces, and one very important piece of equipment, a chainsaw. You're like,
Who are we talking about
"What?
today?
What?
What's the name of your segment?
This is called Operation Paul Bunyan, picture
What?
number 1. Yes. So here's the story. Let's go ahead and put up number 2. Our story takes place in between, well, let me put it this way. North and South Korea made a, what do I want to say? They made a
truce.
ceasefire, but they both stayed armed and tensions were high. In 1976, this place on the one point there was a demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. Now, go ahead and put up number 3 there. Near one of the United Nations checkpoints stood this large poplar tree. It's not the one, but one like this. But it had grown so large that it was blocking the view between the observation points. And this created a potential security risk. So it seemed like a very simple solution.
Cut her down.
Let's trim the tree. Number 4, picture number 4. So on August 18th in 1976, a small work crew of American and South Korean soldiers arrived just to prune the tree. But North Korean soldiers confronted them, and a argument erupted, and then the couple of the North Korean soldiers grabbed those axes that they brought to trim the tree and attacked the party. 2 American officers were killed, Captain Arthur Boniface and First Lieutenant Mark Barrett. Now, this became known as the Axe Murder Incident. Have you ever heard of that?
The Operation Paul Bunyan, I had heard of it, but it's been years since I read about it.
I had never heard.
I'd never heard of this one.
I've never heard of this one. Interesting. So now we have a difficult decision, okay? We're the United States. We've just, 2 of our officers are dead.
We don't have Trump in office.
We don't want to start another war, okay? It wasn't a very popular war. It's a war that my dad always said ended in a tie. That's kind of what he said. So what do? They took 3 days and came up with this. The United States announced a mission called Operation Paul Bunyan. And of course, it's named after the legendary giant, the lumberjack of American folklore.
Yep.
And we love Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, we love
We,
Paul
we
Bunyan.
love Paul Bunyan, yes.
He's my man.
Did you watch the cartoon as a kid? The song
A little bit.
Poor Paul, Paul Bunyan.
I love,
Paul
yes, we
Bunyan.
have some great heroes
Yes.
this time. But this time, they're not going to send a small work crew. They're going to send an overwhelming force. Next picture. Now, the engineers are preparing their chainsaws, but guess what? Hundreds of American and South Korean soldiers are going to surround the area. Attack helicopters are going to circle overhead. Next picture. Fighter aircraft stood ready. B-52 strategic bombers flew nearby.
Heck yeah.
Special forces waited for orders. Tanks and artillery were positioned in case the situation escalated. All of this to cut down a tree.
Something tells me that the tree was coming down,
I think so.
and it was a very important national security risk. Now, when's the last time we've ever talked about a tree being a national security risk?
It's true.
I don't think we have.
You know, I wanted to search more why the North Koreans challenged them. What was the deal?
Yeah.
What was the purpose?
But can you imagine? Okay, so
It's a tree.
yeah, in knowing what the tensions were like at that time, I have to believe. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. 76. That would have been Carter. Oh man, I can't imagine this conversation taking place. I could imagine Trump doing this, calling up the North Koreans and saying, "Listen, hey Kim, just want to let you know, we're coming in. We're going to take down one of those poplar trees in the DMZ. If you even think about sending anybody out there, your country will be obliterated."
Yep.
Right? I can see that. When you think about the buildup for this,
Oh yeah, this is massive.
I mean, this is
Well,
like
what-
holy cow.
What they're doing is they're going, stop poking me, stop poking
Yes.
me,
Yeah,
stop poking me.
yeah.
Okay, cocks a shotgun, points it at the head, says, "Do it again,
Yep.
do it again." And that's this is a, will you escalate if we kill some of your people?
Yep.
Move, and we said, yeah,
We will.
so
I think we'll escalate.
I
Yep.
was thinking about this. All right, so here you're the engineers and you have your chainsaws. You know all this is going on. How are you gonna feel? You're like, oh my goodness, tensions are high. This,
Yep.
how's this gonna turn? I think at first I was like, oh, it might be a little scary, but then after, I thought, are you kidding? I got the United States military.
I think
behind
if
me.
I were
I'm
operating
fine.
that chainsaw, I would have felt the best out of anybody else.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
they brought axes to the first time.
Yeah.
They brought chainsaws the second time.
Yep.
Which I thought was great. But anyway, so
Bring it on.
Yeah, every soldier knew that the wrong move could trigger a major international
A world war
conflict.
again.
Yes.
That's what they're all thinking.
Yeah. Do you know how long it took to cut the tree down? 42 minutes.
Wow, it's a big tree.
That was a
Well-
big tree. And that was did you see the picture of the tree? Put up the last picture. Is it there?
Yeah, but did it include the hike to the tree, or is
Yeah.
that true?
That's a real picture right there.
Yeah, that's about normal.
That's a pretty good size.
Good sized tree.
To your point, Trump would have been, "We're dropping chainsaws, lots of chainsaws."
Yes.
all
The
over."
best in the world.
Yeah. He
I'm
would- he
thinking
would
when I
make
saw
it
the
pretty-
picture of that tree, I'm thinking, why would you bring an axe? I'm like,
Well,
why
it would
wouldn't
take
you
a
bring?
it would take a while, and also you got to remember this is '70s. Chainsaws
Yes.
are expensive.
Of course, we
Now
grew
we
up
get
in
them
the
from
country.
China.
People would cut down trees,
cheaper.
but they would cut down with a chainsaw. But the old timers would use an axe. But
Well, I remember
know.
those McCulloughs that my dad had.
Oh,
And Those
man.
were great chainsaws.
So what my dad used to do when he was wild and like 16, they would take the two 18 horsepower McCullough 101 18Fs. They would take the chains off and they would put them on the go-karts.
Oh, dude, yes. Yes.
Dual 18 horsepower. They were doing close to 200 miles per hour, zipping around the cops on the highway in LA. Some crazy kids.
so
Anyway,
here's
Oh
some
my gosh.
facts to remember
not
about
good.
Operation Paul Bunyan. It remains one of the largest military shows of force ever assembled for such a small objective.
We like it.
The operation was carefully planned to demonstrate resolve while avoiding war,
Yep.
and it was an overwhelming display of strength, likely helped to prevent further violence. And I do like, I mean, that's the thing. The show of strength to provide peace.
Well,
is a good
to
thing.
me, there was no way that they would be able to send back a small little unit again like that. You had to approach
You had
it the
to.
way they did.
Well, who would go?
Right.
Who would go? So, military historians still study this event as an example of using strength to deter conflict rather than to start one.
Did you say the Democrats needed to watch this
Yeah.
over
Yeah,
again?
I guess so.
Try to understand peace through strength?
Peace through strength
Peace
is a
through
good thing.
strength. Yes.
I like it.
Yes.
Walk softly, carry a big stick.
But you should understand camels are not allowed to walk on the streets
In Nevada.
But you are allowed to shoot a buffalo out of the second,
second
story
story.
of a hotel in Texas, except for the noise ordinance. Now, if you did it with a suppressor and you got
Maybe we
away,
could get away with it.
if it was a suppressor, you own the hotel. Okay, if you own the hotel, you did it with a suppressor, and there were no people in the backdrop.
We digress.
You might be able to. I still think generally though it's illegal to shoot a buffalo from the second story of a
Just
hotel.
lost half our audience.
Just because of that. Now, some people in the comment section, I'm looking at you, Rottweiler, have repeatedly brought that up. There is no law. Now, I think
It's a myth.
you could very quickly construct a crime because you are committing multiple crimes by shooting a buffalo out of the second story.
I think it would be in trouble to find a buffalo.
But if we butchered that thing,
so
You gotta
it's
find the
someone's
buffalo to-
it's either endangered or it's someone's buffalo. Like it's just not. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like the practicality. You're reckless endangerment, noise disturbance, disturbing the peace is a misdemeanor. Reckless endangerment's a felony, and then also firearms discharge on someone's premises, that's a felony, through a couple of different means. So anyway, I think it's time for a song review.
we need to go to something softer.
we just need Jesus.
Amen.
And Ryan's been working on that piano. He hasn't quite got that down yet. We're going to have him play it live.
We're gonna get him a keyboard,
I have to learn the keyboard first.
and we'll get him some of those Pit Viper glasses.
I'm a strings person, not a keys.
I was going to say, maybe he'll do it on his guitar, though.
No, but that was a great segue, Miss Nikki. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Today's song, as Miss Nikki teased, what is honestly "We Just Need Jesus" by Tyrion.
Tyrion. Yep.
I never heard of this artist.
If I'm not mistaken, she's Canadian.
Eh?
Yeah, and she's put out some pretty fair music. I like some of her music. And the video for this particular song, I thought was pretty good. I love this song. I do love this song. But yeah, keep going, Ryan. Sorry, I didn't mean
But
to.
also, this was recommended for us to look at by Dawn of a New Day, correct, John Arthur?
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
so if you have any song recommendations, please leave them in the chat, put them on the YouTube, Rumble, wherever you're watching or listening to this, and we will put it in the list and eventually get to it. So let's jump into today's song. Let's see, first verse. I got a front row seat to the madness. I pick up my phone every morning out of habit. I've been fiending for the drama. Yeah, I said it. I'm addicted to the rush, need a medic. When I take a step back, I can see it. All the pain, all the fear we've been feeling. Losing sight of the thing that we're needing.
Good setup.
That's
Yeah.
I think that speaks very much to what Charlie just did.
Yeah, the young people of today.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's what.
Exactly.
And she's not that old. I want to say she's early 20s.
Yeah,
And
she looks pretty young.
Yeah.
Going to the fiending for the drama. I mean, that's if someone's fiending, they're
Craving,
yearning for
hungry.
something, almost like typically an addiction.
Yep.
I'm addicted to people doing bad things and being involved in it. I want to see more of it, and that is a question. That's something that we all see, right? With outrage culture.
Yeah.
It's something
Yeah.
that everyone is tempted to be outraged. It's pleasant to be outraged. It is a pleasant feeling. You might say, wait a minute, I don't like, no, you don't like what you're outraged at. But if you didn't like being outraged, you would change your posture.
Mm-hmm.
And so some people get addicted to that. And then, of course, also just popping out of bed and pulling up the phone.
Yep.
Who here does that? Uh, a little bit. So, yeah. You were going to say, Mr. Producer.
No, but I was gonna say just kind of what you were talking about. Like that was a very convicting first verse for me because that's something I do a lot. First thing in the morning, reach for my phone
Mm-hmm.
and look at what movie news
Yeah.
is happening today and all that. And I saw a post on Instagram one time that said, I want to reach for the Bible or reach for God like I reach for my phone. When I need answers, when I want to have a good time, when they mentioned a couple other things. I can't remember what they were, but you go to your phone for pretty much everything, right?
Yeah.
That's how I want to reach for God. That's how I want
Yeah.
to reach for my Bible.
Yeah.
A lot of people they don't really work on computers anymore.
Yeah.
They work on phones.
Work on phones. It's all off of that. And so it's become our life. The problem is our lifeblood should be Christ. So
Mm-hmm.
good start to the song.
Oh,
Strong
yeah,
open.
definitely. Right. And then the chorus. Honestly, I think we just need Jesus. Honestly, I think we just need Jesus. Have we all gone mad? Have we lost our minds? What used to be wrong, we say that it's right. Honestly, I think we just need Jesus.
Boy, she's on to something there.
That's a good
Oh, yeah.
refrain.
She's on to something there, and that is exactly. And I'm glad. I I don't know how she came about these lyrics, but the fact that she made the reference to what used to be wrong. What was that exact lyric there, Brian?
What used to be right, we call it wrong.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
And boy, that's a spot on
In the
observation.
last days, they will call good evil and evil good.
Yeah,
Yes.
what used to be wrong, we say it's right, and so that I think is pointing to the destruction of the nuclear family.
Yep.
In the way that whether it's transgenderism or it's just divorce.
Yep.
I think Christians really allowed divorce to slide long
Boy.
before the other degenerate stuff.
Yep.
And then we treat. I'm sorry, on a case by case basis, degenerate behavior is degenerate behavior. There might be a long set of degeneracy that leads you to more twisted versions. So, like at least adultery is a natural affection that is incorrectly,
Applied, yeah.
pursued, and homosexuality might be an unnatural. But the acts themselves are the same.
That's right.
And we treat them like they're so different. Now, there might be a whole set of acts that have brought you to the point where your mind and your soul have twisted and warped to where you seek after the degenerate thing. But we don't realize that we need Jesus. We need to die to ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it's a good refrain.
Absolutely.
And the verse 2 gets even better.
Oh, yeah. If it'll come up. Take a good long look in the mirror, search my heart and soul, make it clearer. Help me take your love, trade the bitter, leave it in the dust, help me leave it in the dust, Lord. We've been preaching, we've been drinking in the vanity, now it's got us questioning our sanity, and we wonder how we get all this anxiety. It's clear to me.
Boy, she nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
She nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
Conviction.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's
That
a very good song.
That last line, that's like when she talked about that's how I got all this anxiety. It's because we're searching for the answers, searching for satisfaction where it can't really be found.
And
I
boy,
like-
isn't that it just lines up really beautifully
Where it
with
wasn't
the
made to be
apologetics
Yeah.
segment.
We've been preaching, we've been drinking in the vanity. I think that people just don't understand that you can be talking about Christ. You can be. It's something that's important to realize. Hypocrisy is not something that you're immune to just because you're Christian. In fact, I would say that you are more attacked than anyone else on this earth. We need to understand that you can, whether it's outrage culture like we just talked about, or whether it is this desire to see other people conform to the standard when you yourself will not lift a finger to do what you're calling other people to do, the Pharisaic mentality.
Yeah.
So
I'm going through the Gospel of Matthew in my personal Bible time with the Lord right now, and I just finished the Sermon on the Mount, and in that he talks about like, hey, don't call out the speck in your brother's eye when there's a plank in your own eye. First, take the plank out of your own eye.
Correct.
Then you can see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. And also not being a hypocrite, which is actually, I believe, you look at the Greek for that, it's actually an acting term. Talking
Yes.
about
Putting-
actors acting in a role.
They would sometimes wear masks, especially the gods. They would put a mask on and then they would take it off, like kabuki. They would take a mask, especially for the gods. They would put one on and take it off, and it's a reference to that
Yeah.
that kabuki theater that we play, where we say, "Oh, I'm in church now. I will act this way. Oh, I'm at work. I can take the mask off."
The double-minded man.
And you know, again, something that God's been convicting me of. There are things in my life right now that I'm looking at and saying, "Ooh." I had that prayer. It's like, Lord, I talked to you about this just recently, and I did the same thing. It's like I'm like a guy that looks at himself in the mirror, walks away, and forgets what his face looked like, because I look into your word and I see what I ought to do, and then when the time comes, sometimes I forget, and it is not a good place to be. It should frighten us all.
Amen.
Yeah. All right, let's look at the bridge real quick. It's a very simple, short little bridge. We turn away, we're running back to you, covered in grace. God, you can make us new.
Amen. That's
That
a good
kind of
song.
reminds me of, I believe it's 2 Chronicles 7:14, where it says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven, forgive their sin, heal their land. Now that is in particular in that passage to the people of Israel, but I think that applies to like all Christians, all followers of God. If you turn from your wicked ways
Yes.
and repent, change your mind, and follow God, you will find forgiveness.
Correct.
You will have that restoration of His favor upon you.
Correct.
You will find grace and mercy.
Correct, 100%. And so, this is from Dearman, just in response to some of the things we were saying. Asherah worship was sexual depravity in the Canaanite culture, learned by Israel to this day. Homosexuality, gender benderism, etc., is God giving the nations over to a debased mind. Fully,
Yep.
fully agree.
Yep.
100%. And I think we really opened up the door with divorce. Look, sometimes divorce happens. I get it. And look, there are people that I know that are, it's 99% on one side, 1% on the other. I've seen those over and over again, and that 1% is a slim 1%. I've seen those, so I'm not coming at you, but I would say that we need to treat marriage much differently. It's not just the pursuit of your desires; it is a holy commitment to God, and you are taking into this world. You're bringing into this world potentially children, and you are taking part in a sacrament, and it ought to be seen
And
as
how many
such.
children have been so damaged?
Because not even just people who've had their own parents,
Mm-hmm.
but people who've watched other families
Yes.
go through it, it scandalizes children.
Yeah.
Divorce should really be for the very, very select instances where like the guy is beating the woman or something like that, like or he's a cad and he's out doing whatever, the woman is doing whatever. It should be cases of infidelity, it should be cases of violence. It should be that.
I think where we really tripped up as a nation with regards to that is when we got to the point where we accepted divorce as a norm.
That's
That's the issue.
fully
It's
agree.
not that, and I'm with you. I think there's slim cases. Rather than it being the exception, we've made it the rule.
Yeah.
And I think I can stand very firmly with that phrase because almost 50% end in divorce.
Correct.
That's
We've accepted
that's wrong.
we've accepted that it's a temporary arrangement.
And not only is it temporary, we've approached the issue of marriage
Flippantly.
incorrect. Yes, flippantly. That's the right word.
People need to understand it's not about the wedding day, it's about the day after and the day after and the day
Amen.
after and the day after.
Amen.
So it's like the issue of getting the job. You don't make it. It's like starting your own business. You don't make it. It's the steady state is doing it every day.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get saved. So people have this once saved, always saved thing, like it's a one-time thing. I'm sorry. Either you are saved and you are going through sanctification, or you are not. And so some people denominationally don't understand the difference, right? But either you are ontologically a new being or you are not.
Period.
Period. It's not once saved, always saved. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying ontologically, you are a new creation and you will act as such because you are such. You are water, you will be wet. You are a new creation. You will do good works. You will do righteousness. You will serve God. You will repent. Or you're not wet, you're dry.
Maybe
You're
we
not
can
saved.
do an apologetics table one day on that, on a once saved, always saved, and like what is backsliding, what is
Yeah, because
apostasy, and all that.
I totally agree. We'll add that because unfortunately, some people just don't understand. And I think a lot of denominational disputes are, if you actually listen to what the two denominations are saying, some of the differences, not all, some, not all, not all, not all, some of them is semantics. And you need to get over that and get past that and understand that, yes, we are talking about ontologically, you are a new creation or you're not by issue of nature. Speaking of nature and heaven and hell, we are getting into the epilogue for the Screw Tape Letters today in the book
We're
corner.
finished with it.
Well, we're going to be
we're
another
getting there.
3 weeks because we got 30 pages of
Oh,
epilogue to go through.
wow,
So,
okay.
real quick, go ahead and help me out, Mr. Producer, and go to cut number 33, please. And we'll start there. Today, we're going to be looking at the epilogue, at least the first part. And this is Lewis pointing to the outfield. Did you ever watch anything with Babe Ruth, Mr. Producer, where he would go and point to the outfield and then he would swing the
Proceed
bat
to hit the ball there.
and he would hit the ball there?
I'm not a sports person, no.
Oh my
I'm not
gosh.
either.
Oh my gosh.
I am not a sports person, but I happen to have enough culture to know that Babe Ruth did this, and he was a.
I'm teasing Ryan. He's like, Mr. Pomeroy, I can't believe you're.
Mr. Charlie's
okay.
look of disappointment.
So, where we find ourselves here is Lewis is ultimately writing this really. This is the best part of the book. If you've enjoyed the Screw Tape Letters with us, if you're not familiar, this is the demons talking to each other, and in this final epilogue, which we're going to have to break apart into multiple pieces because it is an interesting bit. This is Lewis pointing to the outfield, swinging the bat, and he does a better job than Paul Harvey's "If I Were the Devil." Do you remember the "If I Were the
I
Devil"?
do. Great.
that here.
Yes. And anybody that watches or listens,
"If I Were the Devil."
you should go listen to that.
It's a great bit. Lewis, before Paul Harvey, did it better. And
Yep.
he wore it a lot better. And so what he goes on to basically is lay out how the demons and devils of hell are probably going to work in the last half of the 20th century and the 21st. And he nails it. So I actually want to get right into Lewis here. And pause me, Charlie, if you want to. Miss Nikki had to go up and do something. So it's just us three, just the boys. Just
Quick, let's have fun.
just the three of us. We can do it if we try. Just go, so people don't have to hear me anymore. Okay. The scene in hell is at the annual dinner of the Tempters Training College for Young Devils. The principal, Dr. Slubgob, has just proposed the health of the guests. Screwtape, a very experienced devil who is the honor of a guest of honor, rises to reply and says, "It is customary on these occasions for a speaker to address himself chiefly to those among you who have just graduated and who will very soon be posted to official tempterships on earth. It is a custom I willingly obey. I well remember with what trepidation I awaited my own first appointment. I hope and believe that each one of you has the same uneasiness tonight. Your career is before you. Hell expects and demands that it should be, as mine was, one of unbroken success. If it is not, you know what awaits you." I love this because what does this sound like, Charlie? What this sounds like an Ivy League college
Yeah.
for a
Yes.
bunch of legal,
Getting ready to send them out in the field.
right?
Yep.
So the Lewis is not necessarily saying that there is a tempter's college, but what he's doing is he's actually doing a brilliant comparison
It is.
of the parasites
Yep.
in the legal and the business professions with the demons and devils of hell. And it's a little bit tongue in cheek. Lewis is kind of having a little bit of fun here.
But you know what?
I appreciate it
Yeah. But
because the
here's the
comparison's
thing.
important.
Oh, well, think about this. What do we have today?
Oh yeah.
We definitely have that today.
We have people who are planning and
Yes.
plotting. So like look at the World Economic Forum.
Yep.
So think of it this way. Lewis, if he knew of the World Economic Forum, he would probably call
He
this the Junior World
yes,
Economic Forum,
yes.
right? Of hell. And so that's really what he's doing here. And I find it delightful. So to carry on, cut number 35, I have no wish to reduce the wholesome and realistic element of terror, the unremitting anxiety which must act as the lash and spur to you your endeavors. How often you will envy the humans their faculty of sleep. Yet at the same time, I would wish to put before you a moderately encouraging view of the strategic situation as a whole. Your dreaded principal has included in a speech full of points something like an apology for the banquet which he has set before us. Well, gentle devils, no one blames him, but it would be in vain to deny that the human souls on whose anguish we have been feasting tonight were of pretty poor quality. Not all the most skillful cookery of our tormentors could make them better than insipid. Oh, to get one's teeth again into a Farinata, a Henry VIII, or even a Hitler. There was real crackling there, something to crunch, a rage, an egotism, a cruelty, only just less robust than our own. It put up such a delicious resistance to being devoured, it warmed your innards when you'd gotten it down. Instead of this, what have we had tonight? There was a municipal authority with graft sauce, but personally, I could not detect in him the flavor of a really passionate and brutal avarice, such as delighted one in the great tycoons of the last century. Was he not unmistakably a little man, a creature of petty rake-off pocketed, with a petty joke in private and denied with the stalest platitudes in public utterances, a grubby little non-entity who had drifted into corruption, only just realizing that he was corrupt and chiefly because everyone else did it? Then there was the lukewarm casserole of adulterers. Could you find it in it any trace of fully inflamed and defiant, rebellious, insatiable lust? Consider first the mere quantity. The quality may be wretched, but we never had souls of a sort in more abundance. And then the triumph, we are tempted to say such souls or such residual puddles of what once were a soul are hardly worth damning. Yes, but the enemy, for whatever inscrutable and perverse reason, thought them worth trying to save. Believe me, he did. You youngsters who have not yet been on active duty had no idea with what labor and what delicate skill each of these miserable creatures was finally captured. What he's going after right now is what Lewis is speaking to. In the early 1900s, did you see the same corruption that you did in the 1800s? Look at what was happening early on in the 1900s. You had just had a great awakening.
Mm-hmm.
What was ended in the late 1800s in America? Slavery.
Mm-hmm.
In the early 1800s, what was ended? Slavery in Britain, right? And so Lewis is pointing to these people are living in a lukewarm culture, and so we're getting more of them, but we're not having the same quality
Right.
of evil people that we used to. They're kind of lukewarm.
He was brilliant the way that he wrote.
This is a really interesting critique on Christian culture,
Yes.
allowing people to live lukewarm lives and die.
Yep.
And people who do little sins, lots of little sins, and they never really get a chance to either be truly good or truly evil, but they live in this nebulous gray zone. And that's what Lewis is really pointing to. He says times are good right now.
Mm-hmm.
People are allowed to live these comfortable lives, and they never get to make a solid choice the way that they did in harder times in the past. People had to pick, choose this day whom you will
Boy,
serve.
what a verse. What a
Character-
verse.
Choose.
Character is never built. Godly character is never built in easiness.
It's always done in hardship.
It is.
And so also, by the way, the most evil people are born in some of the worst hardships as well.
Yes.
And they turn further and further and further
Yes.
from
Yes.
God. And so this is what Lewis is trying to articulate. We live in a life of ease right now. And I think that that's really quite an effective way of illustrating that without cramming down the point. Kendrick Brothers, can you read some Lewis, please? Maybe emulate him. I like your movies, but they're not that great. You need to do a better job of showing and not telling. Like a sermon, a sermon montage, a movie does not make. God bless you guys.
I like your
I
movies.
love their work.
I
They're,
love their movies.
they're cheesy and they're fun to watch, but they're not great art. They're not Ben-Hur. They're not the Ten Commandments.
I
They're
would,
not.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Not the
They're not.
your
Look,
your
young
critiquing
George,
is
young
very high.
young George Washington is not high, and it is a significantly better film than anything the Kendrick brothers have done, and it was on the same budget. The Sound of Freedom, significantly better film than anything the Kendrick brothers have done.
I could
same
agree with
budget,
those.
same budget size, and they are more impactful, and they're doing more in the world than the Kendrick brothers have. I like the Kendrick brothers a whole lot. Okay, I'm not. This is not saying I don't like them. I'm
Yeah,
saying
but are they really movie producers?
that's the problem.
Yeah, that's.
That's the problem, and I think they can become.
But I will
think they
say
can
this,
become.
not to digress off of
But you
Lewis
will.
here
But you will
for just a
anyway.
moment.
Yep.
Kudos to the Kendrick brothers for trying to change
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's good.
Hollywood.
I'm glad that they're here. I'm
Yep.
glad that they're here, and I'm not dogging on them. I want them to.
Because I
grow.
think they initiated a movement.
I want them to grow.
Yep.
I think that they need to be here. It's good stuff. So continuing on, cut number 38, Mr. Producer. The difficulty lay in their very smallness and flabbiness. Here were vermin so muddled in mind, so passively responsive to environment, that it was very hard to raise them to that level of clarity and deliberateness at which mortal sin becomes possible. To raise them just enough, but not that fatal millimeter of too much, for then, of course, all would possibly have been lost. They might have seen, they might have repented. On the other hand, if they had been raised too little, they would very possibly have qualified for limbo as creatures suitable for neither heaven nor of hell, things that have failed to make the grade and are allowed to sink into a more or less contented subhumanity forever. This is Lewis articulating the possibility of purgatory.
Yep.
But continuing on, in each individual choice of what the enemy would call wrong turning, such creatures are first, hardly, if at all, in a state of full spiritual responsibility. They do not understand either the source or the real character of the prohibitions they are breaking. Their consciousness hardly exists apart from the social atmosphere that surrounds them. And of course, we have contrived that their very language should be all smudge and blur. What would be a bribe in someone else's profession is a tip or a present in theirs. The job of their tempters was first, of course, to harden these choices of the hellward roads into a habit of steady repetition. But then, and this was all important, to turn the habit into principle, a principle the creature is prepared to defend. After all, after that, all will go well. Conformity to the social environment, at first merely instinctive or even mechanical, how should a jelly not conform? Now becomes an unacknowledged creed or ideal of togetherness or being like folks. What you allow in the quiet thoughts eventually happens in the quiet moments. What you allow in the quiet moments eventually becomes codified as a principle by which you live, and that you may proceed to live by, and you will defend. Be mindful of your words. Be mindful of your thoughts. Be mindful of your words. Be mindful of your actions done in private, because what you do in private will seep out into public. You cannot just consume pornography in private. You cannot just lie a little bit to your spouse. You cannot just lie a little bit in your profession, because it will also get to your spouse. What you do to your spouse will also get into your profession. What you do matters. It is what you feed grows. What you feed grows. And the more that you allow that to be fed, the more you allow it to grow. That is something that Lewis very aptly is saying here. Mere ignorance of the law they break now turns into a vague theory about it. Remember, they have no history, a theory expressed by calling it conventional or Puritan or bourgeois morality. Thus, gradually, there comes to exist at the center of the creature a hard, tight, settled core of resolution to go on being what it is, and even to resist moods that might tend to alter it. It is a very small core, not at all reflective. They are too ignorant, nor defiant. Their emotional and imaginative poverty excludes that. Almost, in its own way, prim and demure, like a pebble or a very young cancer. But it will serve our turn. Here at last is a real and deliberate, though not fully articulate, rejection of what the enemy calls grace. How can you accept grace if you don't need it? Think about that. How can you accept grace if you don't need it? In the current world, one of the things that I've really noticed in apologetics is the shift from the 1960s Jesus movement. Hey, you've sinned, you need to turn to God. That used to work because we had a collective knowledge of what sin was in this country. It only worked in this country, by the way. You go and say that in India, they're going to look at you funny, like, yeah, of course, whatever. Whatever you say, bro. The chick tracts in the 70s and 80s used to really work. Why doesn't it work anymore?
We have no concept.
We
of
have no
sin.
concept of what sin is. We don't know that we need grace. We think that our truth is good enough. That is something that the demons and devils of hell have worked very, very diligently
And
to
done a good job.
accomplish.
And they've done a really good job.
And it is critical theory has been the most destructive thing, and
Yes.
it is a horrible,
And that's
horrible
why
thing.
I remember, this is a while back. Was talking with our previous pastor about this, especially in light of some of the bigger denominations. And we were talking about this one where it was really getting entrenched. And it was like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to stand up to this, or this is going to go south real quick. Thankfully, there were some that did. And it's been kind of pushed back hard on, which has been great. But to me, it's always going to be there. The threat of it is always there because that's something, it's a tool that Satan wants to use.
And so I kind of want to go to just one more thought before we wrap this up, because there is way too much at the epilogue for us to be able to finish within the hour. And it is a good read. And I want to actually soak on this because this is the best part of the Screw Tape Letters. Lewis says, you want to be careful not to raise the creature's awareness too high
Yeah.
that they would repent. But you also don't want it to be so low that they are in a position where they don't understand their state, good or bad, because they might just simply accept God, or they might be saved by God. And Lewis was intellectually open to the idea of purgatory. I don't know about a purgatory, but I do know that in the last moments and seconds before death, there are a lot of near-death experiences that suggest that there is a time, an undefined amount
There's a
of time
space
where
between the two.
Christ does speak to people
Yes.
in those moments between life and death. And some of those people come back to life and they are a converted, ontologically new being, as we said earlier. But I would say this, the times we live in are precious because there is no room for doubt. It used to be abortion was this confusing thing that we didn't have. There was a lot of obfuscation in the early 70s about what a child was. The silent scream in the 1980s should have been played in every single school. You should have seen the baby being ripped apart and then pulling away and screaming in the ultrasound. You can see the baby opening his mouth, crying in amniotic fluid as his leg is being taken off.
That's sick. That's murder.
You should see that. You should know. Now we live in the age of clarity. You are no longer in the 70s. You are no longer in that place where we don't know what abortion is. Now pro-abortions ish are coming out and saying the mom has the right because she has the ultimate autonomy. You will be as God, knowing good from evil.
Deciding good from evil.
You are deciding to know, to decide, to make that choice is the word in the Hebrew. We live in the best time to be alive because the decision is clear. And right now, we need to be more on God's side than any age before because it's becoming clear what not God's side looks like. We need to be on God's side unapologetically, emphatically, and fully given over to Him because His cause is just and we can see the alternative. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Final thoughts for the day.
I would just say that the AI stuff, I don't get quite as afraid of things as I hear a lot of people. And the reason being is either we are being ushered into the rapture and the final tribulation, or simply as God intervened in the Tower of Babel, He will intervene in AI. You do need electricity to run it. You do need facilities. You do need
Yeah.
a lot of things. AI can't run itself, doesn't have legs.
No.
And, have you ever lived in a catastrophe? We remember Harvey.
Well,
That was
Yeah.
go back to Katrina,
Katrina, Harvey. I
Harvey.
mean, just catastrophes
Ike.
happen.
Ike. I was going to bring up Ike.
Yeah.
So, and so these things are beyond our control. AI is another idol,
Yes.
and I think it's not a good idol. I mean, I use AI for work. I use it in personal things, but I know what it is. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't shelve my mind and my thoughts for AI.
Yeah.
So I don't have it up there as a fear before me because it's like y'all are putting so much stock into this, and
It's just a
Know,
thing.
know your tools. Mm-hmm. Right? Know your
Yeah.
tools. How to use them. Yep. I think for me that I'm troubled that in some ways I'm encouraged with some of the questions that young people are asking.
Oh, yeah.
They're thinking about them, right? And some of those questions are key. I'm really disturbed though that as you look at that, what it really means about what we've done as adults. And we have not done a good job of teaching our kids.
Correct.
We have really, I want to say we've pretty much failed because we can teach them about going to college. You can get into all that, but is that the end all be all of life? Where did I come from? Where am I going to? Those are two questions you better help your kids understand
Yes.
and help them understand it before they get to college. Because if you don't, the college professor will.
They'll explain all of it.
They'll explain all of it. And then
will-
you won't have any chance.
we use the word indoctrinate like it's a bad word. It's not. It means to put someone into the doctrine.
Yep.
Why aren't you doing that with your own kids? I've had some people say, I have friends, I have family have said, oh, we're going to let the kids choose on their own. My kids are going to be indoctrinated
Yep.
in sound doctrine, in truth, what truth is. And then they're going to be told how to think so that if someone says, well, you're indoctrinated, they'll be able to say, well, I was, and then I was also taught how to think, and I've come to this conclusion on my own, I hope. I hope and pray.
And the Bible talks about sound doctrine.
Sound doctrine. It is something that must be pursued. You're 100% correct. We need more of that in America. Mr. Producer, final thoughts.
I really like the song review for today just because I think the message is just something I feel the Lord has been speaking to me a lot about recently is like how much time am I spending on earthly things instead of ungodly things.
Yep.
And also the song I plan to review next week has that same kind of message. Am I like, is the sounds of the world up too loud that I can't hear your voice? Like, am I filling myself so much with the world that I can't hear you, God? Spending too much time chasing after earthly things. So that was just a really good reminder to really root myself in truth and to fill myself more with godliness. And also, I really liked what Mr. Charlie did for the apologetics table today because some of those questions were very relatable to me because sometimes I do worry Am I gonna have a future? Am I ever gonna be able to afford a house one day? Will I ever get married? I do want kids, but sometimes I do think about or worry about the way the world's going. Do I really want to bring children into that kind of world?
Yeah.
No.
Well, and I would say that's something that a lot of people have thought about and worried about. I would not be worried about that. I
I
would
agree.
be much more focused on how can we actually do a good job raising them.
Amen.
That's what we need to be doing. So, very, very true. Final thoughts for the day. What you feed grows. And so, whether that is the knowledge of your children, whether that is the knowledge of God in you, in your children, that will grow. What if it is the lies that you tell yourself, other people? Even if it's the lie of you're not good enough, okay? Even if it's the lie, or if it's the lie that God is not good. If you say these things over and over again, they will grow in your soul. So God is good. Spend time with your kids and pursue righteousness this week. With that, we got nothing else for you. We love you so much. You have a beautiful week.